It is I, the Nomad, coming to you from the wastelands of the internet. Yes, I've come to preach. I have come to be the preacher to warn everybody about the dangers involved in the current society and where we're going within this country and in Western society in general. Now, I want to talk about an issue that, quite frankly, is a little different than what I normally refer to. I normally don't talk about this issue, and the reason is because it happens to be with sports. And it's a sport that, quite frankly, I generally don't give a rat's ass about. But I'm not going to really talk about the sport in and of itself. I'm going to be talking about the social and the ramifications and the mainstream media's response to this, and specifically to this player. Now, for those who follow NBA, the National Basketball Association, right, there are a number of superstars, as they talk about. You got LeBron James, all right, who I call the fraud. You have Kyrie Irving. You have who we're going to be talking about in depth in this little episode of mine. You have KD. You have all sorts of players, Giannis, etc., etc., etc. I'm not a huge NBA fan. Okay, the only reason I'm making an issue of this is because it's culturally relevant. And so, what am I referring to? I can hear it already. No, man. No, man. What are you referring to? This is what I'm referring to, folks. This right here. Okay? I am talking about Kyrie Irving is finally apologizes after net suspension. I am deeply sorry for having caused you pain. Kyrie Irving suspended for at least 5 games. This is a suspension from the Brooklyn Nets organization. This is not an NBA suspension. I want people to understand that. Brooklyn Nets star Kyrie Irving finally apologized late Thursday after he was suspended for at least 5 games for not showing enough remorse for tweeting a link to a movie that spread anti-Semitic disinformation. Now, first thing that I know people who follow me are going to be wondering about, right? Because it is something that, quite frankly, people who follow me, that this is one of the things that they wonder about, right? They're like, I'm sure you're all like, well, what is it that he said? No, man. What is this anti-Semitic thing? How is this anti-Semitic disinformation? All right, from this movie that he tweeted, right? Okay, let's talk about some of the tropes from this movie. Okay, here's one of the quotes from the movie. All right, as we go through this. All right, I hope that you can understand it. Okay, the Jews have established 5 major falsehoods which work to conceal their nature and protect their status and power to wit. Now, just that statement alone, okay, you can understand why people are going, this is anti-Semitic. Okay, I want this understood. Okay, all right, what this is. So, what are some of these of the 5 major tropes? Let's talk about the first 3. Right, the Jews are Israelites, Hebrews, and thus are God's chosen people. Really? They're not, huh? Did these people just pop out of existence somewhere? Okay, I'm just kind of curious how this thing is this viewpoint calendar. Number 2, Jesus Christ was a Jew. Jesus Christ did not practice Judaism. Jesus took stock was Levi, Aaron, Mary, and Joseph, Judah. Really? All right. So Jesus had nothing to do with Judaism. It had nothing to do with Israel. Okay. Well, number 3. All right. Whoops. Wrong one. Let me get to number 3. The 6 million Jews were killed. Now, you gotta remember, this is what the lies are. Many sources and scholars have said that less than 250,000 Jews were killed, right? This is nonsense, okay? These kind of stupid commentary, they're nonsense. Do you understand now why people are saying that this movie had anti-Semitic tropes in it? Because it did. Okay? You can't deny this. You can't deny that it had anti-Semitic tropes all throughout it. And the supposed documentary. You know the supposed documentary? You know really what it was? It was something very similar to the great other leftist documentaries like Roger and Me, which basically was accusing Roger Smith, if you remember this is Roger Moore's magnus opus, Roger and Me, where he was going to interview upon himself the CEO of GM because GM was closing plants throughout Michigan in the Flint area, and they were losing all these union workers. And it was his fault that they were doing this. Sure, there are facts that are in this thing, okay? And you can claim that this has got all sorts of anti-Semitic tropes in it. And I wanted to point this out because that comment that about anti-Semitic tropes is accurate. But let's continue on, okay? After the Nets announced Irving's suspension, the point guard posted an apology on his Instagram while doing research on YHW or YHWH or Yahweh, right, is what he said. Right, I posted a documentary that contains some false anti-Semitic statements, narratives, and language that were untrue and offensive to the Jewish religion, race. Right, I take full responsibility and accountability for my action, Irving wrote. I am grateful to have a big platform to share knowledge, and I want to move forward, all right, by having an open dialogue, okay, to learn more and grow from this. To all the Jewish families and communities that are hurt and affected by my post, I am deeply sorry to have caused you pain and I apologize. I initially reacted out of emotion to being unjustly labeled anti Semitic instead of focusing on the healing process of my Jewish brothers and sisters that were hurt from the hateful remarks made in the documentary. I want to clarify any confusion on where I stand against anti Semitism by apologizing for posting the documentary without context and a factual explanation outlining the specific beliefs in the documentary I agreed with and disagreed with. Okay? I have no intention to disrespect any Jewish cultural history regarding the Holocaust or perpetuate any hate. I am learning from this unfortunate event, and I hope to find understanding between us all. I am no different than any other human being. I am a seeker of truth and knowledge, and I am who I am. Okay, now, I'm going to be honest with you. I know a lot of people are like, well, he's just saying this because, they took money. Okay. Now, the NBA commissioner did chime in on this. Over the past several days, we have made repeated attempts to work with Kyrie Irving to help him understand the harm and danger of his words and actions, which began with him publicizing a film containing deeply anti-Semitic hate. Okay, stop right there. Okay. I can hear it all now. No, man. There's nothing wrong with that. Yeah, there is. Okay. Yes, there is. I'm not denying that there's anti-Semitic tropes, all right, and that it stokes anti-Semitism. I'm not going to deny that at all. I'm going to agree. Yeah, it does do that. All right, but is that all it did? Is that all? Was that all that it was about, or was this entire documentary, this entire book that it was based on, all right, full of BS racial bullshit, from the perspective of black supremacy. There are other things, by the way, when they talk about being anti-Semitic. There's all sorts of things in there. But it's not just that it's anti-Semitic. It's a feature of black supremacy. And not one time did the reporters, they all asked him about the anti-Semitic part of it, which he didn't understand. And the reason for it that he doesn't understand it is because that was only a small part of that storyline. Because the main storyline is, black supremacy. Racial hatred toward anybody that isn't black. We were kept down. We've been abused. We've been held, our real history hasn't been taught to us. They're intentionally keeping us down. The white man is keeping us down. The whole documentary is based along that. Not one of these guys asked him about that aspect of it. And you've got racist bigots like LaFraud, all right? And Silver is another one of them. Does anybody talk about that? Does anybody sit up there and talk about the the racist bullshit rather the anti-white bullshit coming from Jalen Rose and ESPN or their big star Stephen A. Smith and his freaking racist bullshit that he spews constantly? They go after Kyrie Irving mainly because he's a target. He's an enemy. Why? Because he's not controllable by these people. Okay? And they are terrified of the loony leftists that lose control. That's why. And the real problem ends up with people like in the Anti-Defamation League. Why did the ADL get involved in this at all? Seriously. The ADL only got involved in this, not because of this movie having anti-Semitic tropes. I'm going to be real blunt here. The Anti-Defamation League was founded to prevent another Holocaust. I'm all for that. But they will sacrifice at every turn, all right, that as long as it furthers the progressive / leftist Marxist movements in this country. And they've done it time and time and time again. They've overlooked good old Joe Biden's racism. They've overlooked a lot of people's anti-Semitic bullshit. But see, Kyrie Irving stood up and said, I'm not getting the Fauci jab. And he became a hero to people because he refused to get the jab. So they've been looking, the left have been looking for a way to punish this guy. So he put out a tweet about a stupid movie, all right, that has anti-Semitic tropes in it, as well as being black supremacy. But do they focus on the black supremacist aspect of that stupid-ass movie? No. They focus on, it's anti-Semitic, which it is. I'm not denying it. But the real reason that the ADL went after him was because he's not controllable. Which goes to the second point. So you're suspending this guy because he tweeted and refused to bend the knee to apologize and show enough remorse, as if somehow the press become the evaluators of when is enough enough. When do we allow redemption? All right? Especially after trying to accuse him of being an anti-Semite, rather than going, why are you listening to white or black supremacist books and black supremacist movies? Now, Kyrie Irving is, like I said, a controversial figure. He also tweeted something a few years ago about flat Earth. So it's like, I just want you to understand, the guy is a little on the strange side to begin with, but he's not controllable. And that's what they're terrified of. when he refused to get the jab and paid a price for it, okay, they had to find some way to make sure he didn't ever step out of line again. And that's why the media went after him. Make no mistake. When he says he was unfairly called an anti-Semite, I do believe it's unfair. Now, if they wanted to discuss the movies with him and say, hey, we want to talk to you not about the NBA, but we want to talk to you about the other things you're doing, you know what? You have a platform right there to respond to him. Media. You guys in the media could have stood up there and gotten into a Twitter conversation that was public for everyone to see what he was saying. At no point has he ever personally spouted anything that was anti-Semitic that I know of. I've never seen anything that he's done that's anti-Semitic. I've seen a few comments that he's made that make me think that he might be a racist when it comes to white people. Okay. Nowhere near the kind of outright blatant racism displayed by LaFraud and his little pack of hyenas. You know, his quote unquote posse. Nothing like that. I didn't particularly care for Kyrie Irving's commentary on the Boston Celtics, which is another whole issue that's been going on with them. I'm not going to go into it right now because I want to focus on this. But the media is only going after this guy for one reason and one reason only. There are plenty of other guys. There's plenty of other media figures, right, in the NBA that I guarantee have watched this movie and have talked about this movie. I guarantee it. And yet they didn't go after them. But they went after Kyrie Irving. And they went after him hard. Granted, he is a big star. All right. But they were accusing him of being an anti-Semite. Just because he posted a tweet about this movie. Instead of people going, dude, that's just a racist BS. Right? And like all documentaries, it's got half-truths in it. It has things in it that are true, that are taken out of context, but the intention of that book and the intention of that documentary, all right, is black supremacy. Not was that brought up? Nope. Not even in the slightest. Speaking of which, where did Kyrie Irving see this thing? Where was this posted? Oh, that's right. It was on Amazon. In fact, this book is still on Amazon. And this movie's on Amazon Prime. This anti-Semitic movie that they're all raising hell and they think that this guy should be kicked out of his job for is currently being sold on Amazon Prime for viewing. Is anybody asking, the owner of the Washington Post, Jeff Bezos, who owns Amazon, has anybody asked him about this? What his view is on this? Why he has it? See, because it's modern day book burning. He looked it up. Okay? He looked it up. Kyrie Irving looked it up and he said, hey, this is interesting. Well, what do you think? I posted this out there. Now, I will say this as well. Kyrie, you're an idiot. If you want to post something and have a discussion, then be prepared to have the discussion. Don't run away from it. All right? Don't try to half-step it. Tell people what you're thinking, all right? And let them tell you what they're thinking and why. Have the discussion. How many times have we heard from these guys? Oh, we just want to have the discussion. Okay, then if you put a tweet out like that, have the discussion. Don't get defensive and say, I'm not going to talk to you, because you're not having the discussion. If you put the damn thing out there to have the discussion, then have the damn discussion. Have it in the open. But see, when it comes to this kind of stuff, people who say, well, we need to talk about the issues, we need to discuss the issues, they don't really mean it. When Stephen A. Smith says he wants to talk about race in America, he doesn't want to talk about race in America. He wants to preach from his pulpit, and he wants no dissenting opinions on anything. Because if you see, when he says white man bad, orange man bad, he wants nobody better dare say you're wrong. That's what this is about. In this case, to be honest, they forced Kyrie Irving to bend the knee. Now, I do think that his apology is sincere. I really do. I really don't think he understood how the Holocaust affects people of Jewish descent. I really don't think that many people really have a good picture unless you've actually walked through a concentration camp and really seen the evil, the modern day evil that was perpetrated by the Nazis. I don't think you can even come close to understanding just how horrific that was, because they are just numbers on a page. 10 people dying. There's the famous quote: 10 people dying is a tragedy. 1,000 people dying, right, is a statistic. There's a lot of truth to that. One of the German officers, right, who participated in the Holocaust, said killing one person is difficult, but after you kill one person, killing 10 people is not as difficult as killing the one. And after you kill 10, 100 or more is nothing. Now, there was an understanding that it damaged the psyche, which is the whole reason why they came up with the whole gas chamber thing. I'm not going to even go into some of the horrific nature of that. Okay, so you can understand why the ADL came into existence, but the ADL has sold its soul, all right, to the Marxist leftists. All right, this is my problem with the ADL. I have no problem in pointing out that this movie was anti-Semitic, all right, because it was. I have a problem, though, that you put and choose just Kyrie Irving when the same can be said about many other people, all right, of media figures, especially sports figures, in that are around today, and you haven't said shit. I have a problem with the ADL when if you're going to bitch about this book, then why haven't you gone to one of your supposed people and complained to Jeff Bezos, going, why are you showing this movie? Why is this on the internet? Why is this on internet view? Why are you making money from this? How could you be doing this? No, is it modern day book burning? In a way, yeah. But people have to see these things for what they are. If you're going to cancel Kyrie Irving over this movie, then why are you not continuing the crusade against others, including Jeff Bezos? All right, folks, that's all I've got. I appreciate you listening for this long. Hopefully, you all have a good day. I'll talk to you later. Bye bye, everybody.